Today's lesson is going to be part 4 of multiplying fractions, which focuses on story problems. Please make sure that you have something to write with and something to write on. We are going to get started. So our first problem states Nate had 5/8 of a pizza left after his birthday party. The next morning he ate 3/5 of the leftover pizza. How much of the whole pizza did he eat? So we have to remember that we should be looking for keywords and phrases within story problems. So something that's very important in this story problem is the word of. Of means we're going to be multiplying, okay? So we're going to be taking our 3/5 of the 5/8 of pizza that was left after the birthday party, because that's how much Nate is consuming. So we obviously have been spending multiple days on multiplying fractions. We know that if we're multiplying, we want to simplify before we multiply across. Okay, so again, we're going to look for multiplying vertically, diagonally, but never horizontally. When I look at this problem, I know that I can simplify diagonally here because 5 obviously goes into 5. So I'm going to divide both of them by 5 to get 1. But remember, you always want to continue to look and make sure that you cannot simplify anywhere else, which in this case, we can't. So we multiply across. So 3 times 1 gives me 3, and 1 times 8 gives me 8. So you might be wondering why there is this table over on this side. What I'm going to do is just prove how we're getting our 3/8 as our final answer, okay? And I do suggest drawing this just so you have it as an example. You don't need to do it for every problem, but if it helps you, do it. So what I have labeled up top is how I'm going to be splitting this whole pizza. So this table represents the whole pizza. Okay, so when I'm looking this way, each of these is going to represent 1/8. So if we look back into the problem, it's saying that 5/8 of the pizza is left after the party. So I'm going to shade 5/8. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, and 5/8. Okay, that's how much pizza is left after the party. Then it states that Nate is eating 3/5 of that leftover pizza. So now I'm going to shade across this way to show what Nate has consumed. So 1/5, 2/5, and 3/5. So what I'm putting a box around is the portion of the whole pizza that Nate has consumed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So here it's showing that he's taking 15 out of the 40 total pieces. So the 40 total pieces is going to be, again, this entire table. We know that if we have 15 over 40, that we need to simplify that. That is not fully reduced. So I would divide that by 5 over 5, which then gives me a total of 3/8. That's how these match. Okay, so Nate truly is consuming 3/8 of the whole pizza. And remember, ladies and gents, always write your final answer in sentence form. So Nate ate 3/8 of the whole pizza. So our next problem states Emma had 30 bagels to give to her homeroom for her birthday. The class ate 5/6 of the bagels. How many were left for Emma? So again, we see this keyword of. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to that. That tells us we're going to be multiplying. So we have 5/6 of the 30 bagels that were brought in. Again, when we are multiplying, we know that they have to be written in A over B form. So 5/6 can stay as 5/6, but we know that 30 needs to be written as 30 over 1. Again, A over B form. So we want to make sure we can simplify ahead of time. So we look vertically and diagonally, and I see that there is 6 and 30, and 6 goes into both of those. So 6 divided by 6 gives us 1. 30 divided by 6 gives us 5. And then we always, again, want to double check and make sure that we can't simplify anywhere else, which in this case we cannot. So we multiply across. So 5 times 5 gives me 25. 1 times 1 gives me 1. 25 divided by 1 is 25. So we have 25 bagels. But what does this 25 bagels represent? In this case, that represents how much her homeroom has consumed. Okay, so this is how much the homeroom ate. And it's very important we understand this because if we look back to our problem, it is asking how many were left for Emma, which is not 25. So in order to solve that, we have to go back to what we started with. And we had 30 total bagels. If her homeroom is eating 25 of them, that means that there are 5 bagels left for Emma. So again, always make sure you're writing a sentence, because if I look back at this and it said, and I put 25 bagels, that wouldn't make much sense to me. If I'm bringing 30 total in for the class and yet I somehow have 25 bagels left, that would be a very small class. Okay, so make sure you are going back to the question and making sure that you are answering that specific question, because this is a multi-step problem. And our final is also a multi-step problem. So Macy needs to buy mulch to cover a rectangular shaped section of her yard. The section measures 4.5 yards by 5 1/4 yards. It costs $8 a square yard. What is the area of the section and the total cost of the mulch? So again, we're looking for area and we're looking for total cost. So I included a visual because I think for some it helps. We can't forget that area is length times width. Okay, so that's the formula for area. So if we're going to start there, we are going to... So we want to make sure we don't forget the formula for area. So area is length times width. And I did draw a visual just because I think sometimes that helps. So we're going to take our length times our width. So 5 1/4 times 4 1/2. Okay, we know that it has to be written in A over B form, so we will convert to improper fractions. So 4 times 5 is 20. Add 1 gives me 20 1/4. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 gives me 9 halves. And again, we want to make sure we can simplify ahead of time. So if I look at this problem, I can't do anything with 20 1/4. I can't do anything with 9 halves. If I look at 21 and 2, there's nothing I can do there. And same thing with 4 and 9. So unfortunately, we have to multiply across. So we are going to take 21 times 9. 9 times 1 gives me 9. 9 times 2 gives me 18. So my numerator is 189. And 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so we cannot leave it that way. So we are going to do a little long division. So we have 189 divided by 8. 8 can't go into 1, but 8 can go into 18 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16, so I subtract that. I have 2 left over. Bring my 9 down. 8 can go into 29 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. I have 5 left over. So remember, that your quotient is always going to be your whole number. Your remainder is always going to be your numerator, and your divisor is always your denominator. So the area of this rectangular shaped section is 23 5/8 yards. But we're not done because we need to figure out the total cost of that. So if we're going to figure out the total cost, we have to take the area and we're going to multiply it by the total cost. So again, right away, if I know that it's $8 a square yard, I'm going to make it so it's 8/1 because again, it has to be written in A/B form. So when I look at this problem, again, I know that I want to try to simplify ahead of time. So I can simplify diagonally with these 8s. So obviously 8 divided by 8 gives me 1. 8 divided by 8 over here gives me 1. And I am able to multiply across. So 189 times 1 is going to give me 189. And 1 times 1 is 1. Again, this is improper. We want to make sure that we understand that then our total cost is $189 because I am taking my area times the cost per square yard to get $189. Quick reminder, only two digits after the decimal when we are talking about money. So that is it for the notes. Please make sure that as you are working through today's problems that you are using these notes to guide you. If you have any questions, you need to reach out to us so that we are able to help you. Please make sure you are reading through your problems very, very carefully, understanding what the question is asking you, making sure that if it's a multi-step that you are doing all of those steps to get to your final answer. Okay?